Thanks, Maricelis, and thanks to the organisers for the opportunity. It's great to be here in Vancouver. Really impressed with the city. It's a beautiful place. So what I'm going to do is give an overview of major activities that are happening around the surveillance early warning. And then other colleagues are going to come in with follow-up talks that give more details on specific areas of the work that we're doing. Okay, I think everybody in this room knows that we're facing increasing threats from the wheat diseases. This slide tries to summarize a few of the things that we're kind of concerned about, and we're trying to undertake activities around these. So Maricelis highlighted stem rust. I guess this is where it all started, with UG99 coming up in East Africa. We're seeing the re-emergence of stem rust and the spread of stem rust globally. So certainly in Europe, we're seeing increasing amounts of stem rust. We're seeing UG99. We've got, I think, 17 races in the lineage now. They're spreading, so most recently into Asia. So we picked up UG99 race in Nepal a year ago, which I'll talk a bit more about. Similarly, yellow rust, increasing problems with yellow rust. I mean, it's really on a mission to take over the world, I think, yellow rust. It's just going everywhere. So I guess the emergence of YR15 virulence in Europe is the most recent example of changes that are happening. But we're also seeing significant things happening in the Himalaya region, and there's a clear migration route from the Himalaya into East Africa and to other parts of the world. Wheat blast. So this came up in South America. It's spreading, and I think Paolo will talk more about recent spread into Uruguay. But it's also being transferred into Bangladesh and also Zambia. In both countries, it's spreading. So in Bangladesh this season, there was 8 new districts that wheat blast was confirmed in. So it's pretty much spreading across Bangladesh. Similarly in Zambia, it's now right on the border with Tanzania, so it's spreading in Zambia as well. And the reports we're getting from Brazil, I mean, this scares me. That picture from our collaborator, Mauricio Fernandez, I mean, that's a huge commercial field. I think it was something like 400 hectares. And he was saying that was totally destroyed from zero in 2 to 3 days. That's pretty scary damage potential. And we're also seeing the emergence of fungicide resistance and also kind of loss of the 2NS resistance as well being reported from South America. So wheat blast is a serious concern. Then fusarium. So in East Africa, especially Ethiopia, we're seeing this resurgence or emergence of fusarium. It used to be a sporadic disease. Now it's basically epidemic levels. Ethiopia, maybe 60% of the fields we survey have got fusarium in them. It's a really big emerging concern. Okay, in terms of what the current projects that we've got, so Maricelis mentioned DEWAS. So this covers 8 countries, 4 in South Asia, 4 in East Africa. It's funded by Gates Foundation, FCDO in the UK. We're focused on the wheat rust and also wheat blast. We're trying to do a little bit on fusarium, but we don't really have the resources to do it, but there is some new investments coming on fusarium. And then we have a smaller project that's again coming out of the UK FCDO through the UK Met Office, this WISER project that's in 3 of the South Asian countries, so Nepal, Bangladesh and Bhutan. So in terms of surveillance, so we really started, I guess, around 2008 and we've essentially put together, I think, one of the world's largest surveillance networks that's currently operational. We've got information from about 43 countries. We're probably getting annually data from about 25 countries. Pretty large number of survey records and sample information in the databases now. And all of this, all the surveillance is done electronically. Samples are collected as part of the surveillance, and it's all connected through to the diagnostic labs. So we have a network of international labs, but also labs in countries themselves that support all the diagnostic work. Just from this year, kind of where things are at the moment, like over 10,000 fields have been surveyed, and we've still got the Africa season to come, so it'll be a large number. Everything's collected in real time, electronically, using ODK. So we get a snapshot in pretty much real time of the disease state across very large geographical areas. All of this is connected automatically to the forecast models that are running with Cambridge University, UK Met Office. And this, really, it's the foundation for the whole early warning system. All the data we link with our colleagues in Denmark at Aarhus, the Global Rust Reference Center. This wheat rust toolbox is our data management system. So it's a really comprehensive resource of all the information that's being collected. So tens of thousands of survey records from many countries over many years. Tens of thousands of sample records, the information, it's all been put into this database. And then we have the forecast, the modelling system that's with Cambridge University, UK Met Office. So the information in the toolbox, it's automatically harvested by the forecast models. The forecast models are running on the UK Met Office supercomputer. So every day we get a 7-day forecast. And this is for spore dispersal, but also environmental suitability. So with a 7-day forecast, we can essentially give farmers probably about 3 weeks notice. For the disease usually takes about 2 weeks to develop in the field. We can predict it's going to move into a certain area, the conditions are good, so now's the time you should be looking at your fields, maybe preparing for control if needed. The models are operating all over all of Southern Africa, most of the Middle East, and all of South Asia. So it's a huge geographical domain. Okay, in terms of a summary of the overall system, we've got pretty much real-time surveillance happening in the field. We've got automatic transfer into the database. We've got automatic data harvesting into the model pipeline. We're getting that information back. We get semi-automated advisories coming from the Cambridge group. So we're producing weekly advisories that are going out at very large scale to the partners in country. And if something really urgent happens, then we can push out alerts through electronic extension systems very quickly. So we're reaching hundreds of thousands of farmers with information from the system. And it's timely information, and it's actionable. So farmers can actually do something as a result of the information that they receive. Diagnostics. So we've got the labs that are doing conventional pathotyping and also genotyping, but then we're also bringing in new diagnostics. So together with Diane, the John Innes Centre put together, Diane put together MARPL. So it's a nanopore-based sequencing system, and essentially we can go from a field sample to clade level diagnostics in 2 to 3 days, and it works for yellow rust and it works for stem rust. So that's an incredible advance, having that really rapid diagnostic. This is now being rolled out in an increasing number of countries. So we've got Ethiopia, Kenya, Nepal, most recently Bhutan, also Pakistan, Turkey, and also colleagues in South Africa, I think, are also working with the MARPL system. So this is increasing, and it's great. Then for wheat blast, so working its colleagues in China at CAS, but also in Bangladesh, Professor Tofazal. So this rapid assay for wheat blast. So it's about a 30-minute assay, and it's like essentially like the COVID test kits. So in about 30 minutes, we can get an accurate diagnostic that it's a basically yes or no, we've got wheat blast. So the challenge we see, certainly in Africa, is we've got, fusarium is everywhere, and it's pretty tricky distinguishing wheat blast from fusarium. So having this rapid test that we can deploy on a wide scale, then it's going to be really valuable. Then we're also working on the host side of things. So I think Gerald's going to talk in one of the sessions. So using remote sensing, we're putting together high-resolution wheat maps. So this example here from Ethiopia. But we're also putting together dynamic maps. So we want to know where we've got green wheat at different times of the year. So that's the areas where there's risk for the disease to take off, certainly for the rusts. And then Gerald's also exploring methodology to use very high-resolution satellite imagery for disease detection. So early detection using very high resolution. And there's a really nice kind of illustrated web story that the European Space Agency put together. So if you want to take a look at that, it's quite nice. Then we're also working on this vulnerability mapping tool. So the idea here is, can we identify areas that are at risk of the incursion of a new race coming into an area? So we identify areas that are very suitable for disease development, whether it be stem rust, whether it be yellow rust. We can look at where varieties are being grown, and then also what the response of those varieties are to the new race, and then come up with an idea of vulnerability risk and try and get countries to be able to prepare in advance of a major outbreak occurring. So there's an example here for Nepal, and here we've got these new stem rust races that have now come into South Asia. So we're trying to provide advance information to countries. These are the areas that we think are going to be at highest risk if disease starts to develop. And then stem rust story in South Asia. So in November 23, colleagues in Nepal picked up trace levels it's a fodder crop, a summer wheat crop in Nepal. The analysis that's done by Mogen's group in Denmark, Global Rust Reference Center, confirmed it was UG99, it was TTKTT, one of the more recent UG99 races. And then we started seeing other unusual occurrences of stem rust across both Nepal, but then in Bhutan as well. So we got those through for testing. They weren't UG99, but they were all clade 4F races, and these are also new incursions into South Asia. And they've got serious damage potential. It's not just UG99 I would worry about. These can cause significant damage. So we picked up two races in Nepal, and one of those we then picked up in Bhutan. And the forecasting was telling us things are likely to move from Nepal into Bhutan, and then the field results matched what the forecasts were telling us. This season, we've seen stem rust come again here at Kumaltar. We're running MARPL, so straight away our colleagues in Nepal were able to run MARPL, and again it's clade 4. So it's one of these, I suspect, has almost certainly persisted, and it's popped up again this season. Nothing in Bhutan yet, but the season is still ongoing. So I think for me this kind of illustrates that the whole system is really working. That we've got the surveillance in place. We were able to pick up really early first appearance of the disease. We've got the diagnostics capacity that we can understand exactly what it is, and we can do it now very quickly with MARPL. We can feed it into the forecast models. We can predict where it's going to move. So for me, the system is basically working, and we're now getting preparedness in the region ahead of any big outbreak. So we've really, I don't know, it's a quantum leap for me where we were with UG99 in East Africa 20 years ago to where we are now. Okay, similarly, yellow rust. So again, flagging South Asia. So all the data we've got, it's clear. There's a very strong migration route from the Himalaya region into East Africa. We've got several instances, and I think we've got at least one more that should be on this map. We pick up things in the Himalaya region, and within a couple of years, they're into the wheat fields of Ethiopia and causing big problems. There's also things, evidence things getting from the Himalaya into Western Europe as well. So I think the Himalaya region, it's really important in terms of new diversity of yellow rust coming that has significant impact then on other important regions. And again, thanks to the work that Mogen's group is doing, we're now sort of getting much more information about what the situation is in terms of the populations in South Asia, and it's fascinating. So you can see here, I mean, there's lots of different coloured dots here, but maybe interesting things, it's like this green one here, I mean, basically it's in one valley in Bhutan. Like we sample other places, but it's literally that one valley, and then there's another one, and it's basically the same story. It's something completely unique that's in these very specific locations. So we've got huge genetic diversity in yellow rust in the region, but then we're seeing these new clades that are emerging out of that genetic diversity. And I think increasingly for me, I think the arguments that we really need investments, I think if we can really get resilient systems, good monitoring, good disease control in the Himalaya region, then it would have massive benefits for other parts of the world. Similarly, I mean, in staying with South Asia, I mean, together with Eugene, we're now trying to do a bit more on the alternate host on Barbary. So we're getting surveys happening in Bhutan, Nepal, Pakistan. Again, we're using ODK. So we're collecting the information, we're collecting images of the Barbary to try and help with identification. We're sampling the Eschia that we're finding, and then putting in simple protocols for trying to get infections from Eschia, getting them to infect different cereals. So simple, but it's now been implemented in both Nepal and Bhutan. So the first results are just starting to come out from this work. And also, I mean, I just threw this picture. I mean, for those who don't know South Asia, then that's the barberry bush and that's the wheat field, yeah? I mean, this is pretty typical. You've got the barberry right next to the wheat crop. We also put in place these sentinel plots. So this is a set of key resistance gene lines. I think we've got 12 for stem rust and 12 for yellow rust. So these we're getting in place in multiple sites across all the country. So across South Asia, across Africa, and we're going to have some in the Middle East as well. So the idea is we can monitor the effectiveness of those resistance genes, which ones are effective, which ones we've got virulence on. And then just kind of wrap things up, I mean, just some of the big things that are coming out, some highlights, I guess. I mean, Ethiopia is really where we started with all the early warning systems. Back in 2010, there was a massive yellow rust epidemic in Ethiopia. It was a race that came out of the Himalaya region. It took out maybe about 1/3 of Ethiopia's wheat crop. The losses were probably in the hundreds of millions of dollars. So we had an incursion of a new race. We had super optimal weather conditions in the country. We had susceptible varieties. We got the big epidemic. There was no preparedness. There was no early warning. There was no fungicides in the country. So they were imported, but they were too late to be effective. 2021, we'd kind of got things in place. We'd got more awareness. We'd got preparedness. We'd got the early warning systems. We basically had the same conditions. We had another incursion from the Himalaya region. We had super optimal weather conditions. We had susceptible materials in farmers' fields. But the outcome was very different. They ended up with a record wheat production in Ethiopia in that year. And certainly I think the early warning systems, they were really a contributing factor to that situation. South Asia, we're now kind of implementing kind of like impact surveys in terms of trying to assess the reach of the information. So the data we've got, we're getting significant reach. So over 600,000 farmers in these 3 countries, a large proportion of female farmers, marginal farmers, so we're reaching those. And then farmers are reporting that they're actually doing something as a result of the information, so it's valuable to them. And we're also seeing investments by the governments. So future, we want to expand it. We want to look other diseases, and there's interest in other crops coming into the system as well. Expanding the geography, certainly new technologies I think can come into the system, and then also I think we can do more in terms of better targeted information for the farmers. So this is only possible, amazing support, core support from the Gates Foundation, FCDO in the UK, but an incredible group of partners. There's 23 partners, kind of national programs, advanced research institutes, that are all coming together to do this work. So, thank you. Sorry, I went over time a little bit.
Very good. We have time for a couple of quick questions today. Yes, Tom?
Yeah, quick question, Dave. So you said 59 rise in Nepal 2024. Any evidence to show that it's been in Pakistan or India at all?
Not that we know of at the moment, Tom. That's the only confirmation we have from the region. But it was literally trace levels. And I'd say it was outside of the main wheat season. It was in their summer wheat. So there's very small areas of summer wheat that are actually grown. And they grow it for fodder. They don't harvest it. It's just a fodder crop. And then they grow potatoes. So it's amazing they found it. But I think it shows people are really looking and they're doing a good job.
I had one question regarding the 1999 report in Nepal. So from where did the spore could be dispersed in Nepal? Like any hypothesis? Or from genetic material?
Dispersal from Nepal or dispersal into Nepal? Yeah, it's a good question, and we don't have all the answers at the moment. Jake is probably the best person, but we're not sure at the moment. It's did it come direct from Africa? Probably not. Somewhere in the Middle East is much more likely, but I can't give you an exact. Okay, it was here and then it came here. The closest one to Nepal in terms of geography would be Iran or Iraq.
Thank you.
Yeah. West Africa. Okay. No confirmed results UG99 in Morocco. We have other races of stem rust, and stem rust is increasing a lot in Morocco. The surveys this year, I think stem rust was very prevalent. Low levels, but it was prevalent. But no UG99 at the moment. There's clade 4, there's other races are there.
Excellent. We'll go to our next talk. Thank you so much, Dave.